Apparently, they kind of overhired, and I had like 1.5 months of nothing to do at work. So I was bored, so I created a plan on how to revive Pizza Pie. And around February, or January, I created the first event along with Cleo, who was a previous interviewee here in Kaka Computer. And, that's how history happened. We're still co lead organizers.
All right, so how about you, Ange? Let's talk about AI Generation Cebu. So, what inspired you to build actually an AI focused community, and what challenges did you face initially?
The inspiration was taken from quite a long while ago that I've noticed when you start a community, sometimes you think, okay, the reasons why you would want to start is because you're at it in one area of your life or in one location, you're at it alone, and you don't seem to find the people that are interested in what you're interested in. So if you can't find them organically, if you can't find them locally, if there's no existing community, you would have to make your own. I did have a conversation with BJ in the past. I'm not sure if you had. Oh, you still remembered? Awesome. So this was a conversation that I had. I had to consult him on my intention to start an AI community in Cebu, but I did not know how. It felt quite early to do that. It was in the year 2023, so it felt like people were still figuring out AI through generative AI narrative. And the inspiration then just seemed to sit by for quite some time up until 2024. 2024 was a very special year for me. And yeah, I could say that 2024, as people would say, it adds up to the number eight. That eight is the number of karma. But then, yeah, I understood that. From there, it was a very special year for me because if it felt like it was the best time to start an AI generation or an AI community for that matter, without even the branding, that if it works, it should work because we're at the time that we're supposed to adopt. Not just adapt, but to adopt. That's because when I had dabbled into AI in 2023, my approach was with generative AI. I had to head on people for someone that started his whole business in Cebu, and yes, they are also an Nspace client for a time. I had to headhunt for him to look for people who are already had that proficiency. Mind you, this person was in the U.S., so I don't know what went on his mind when he was asking for people that are have those proficiencies in AI. So I felt okay. How do I look for people who are still hesitant in using this technology? Better yet, how do I look for people who not only are they at least unaware of it, but are rather curious about this technology and just enough to listen about what are the updates? What do I need to do with this technology? How do I adopt? How do I get aware with other types of, let's say, ranges of AI tech? So how do you actually make this a very centralized, I know it's separate, I mean, it's opposite to Web3 mindset, but how do you actually keep all these things together in one, let's say, in one organization or in one thing? So that's where I started an AI community that's homegrown in Cebu. I felt that I needed to start an AI community in Cebu because the AI communities that I've heard quite a lot are from Manila. Unfortunately, I'm not able to do much with them because it felt like I could not fly out to those places. But AI Cebu needed to have its own community. And it's about time that it has to step up to actually have this community that fosters AI tech users. So something that I would want to spill would be to soft launch AI tech users group in Cebu because we also, in that approach, we would like to make AI tech accessible for all, and that people are critical about using these, not just blindly using these and committing to certain mistakes in using generative AI. So that inspiration grew to purpose. And I can say that with purpose, I get to drive what AI needs to be in Cebu, but it also comes with responsibility. It's not to drive sentiment on AI tech as just one of the, let's say, narratives of tech that's within the bubble, but to make it quite equitable for all, citizens of Cebu, which is quite ambitious, but it makes sense as much as you use GCash every day. It makes sense as much as you learn about, let's say, QR codes and how you could use them. These types of user end technologies are much like what AI is today, and it's going to be ushered to us as a society. Do we react with fear, or do we react with curiosity, with exploration, becoming knowledgeable without having to be hindered by fear? That is needed. That needs to be fostered. So that is needed as a mindset, and that needs to be fostered in a community, in a closed and comfortable and safe space for people to interact with these technologies, to learn about it in seminars and discussion groups and workshops. We don't see that unless you actually make a community. We could see that in ranges, like say, devs can come together to talk about these applied AI learning, topics like machine learning, deep learning, radiance field. But if you'd like to make this a holistic approach and actually apply it to people, to things and projects such as businesses, you'd like to take a bit of that plus the product aspect of it, plus the business side of it, automating things. Those things can be taught if you just pull and also meet the right people and also hone in the right people that can actually develop the type of skill set. So I took that responsibility. Furthermore, I also I've taken that inspiration to action and not just purpose. So it's quite action driven. When you become the first person to hear about something, and you feel like you're alone because it felt like in your group of people, which is a very small group, you know about this, but you can't share it to people because they're not interested. It will feel like you're the first person who knows about it. But then if you are filled in a room of people, you can discuss it. You don't feel like you're the expert. You feel like the beginner now because someone actually knows a lot of these things better than you. And I like to be able to work with these people. And you're not able to do that unless you actually build a community and sustain it. So not only that a community leader becomes an expert, they attract actual experts to, let's say, a shared location or to a convention so that they can also feel safe in showcasing their skills and be able to teach everyone else that you're trying to foster. So yeah, that's my inspiration for building an AI community in Cebu. Yeah.
All right. Can you tell us a little bit more about these new communities in Cebu that are also supported by AI Gen?
So I'd like to also share, because of AI generation, Cebu's, let's say, giddiness to collaborate with everyone. We have a collaboration first mindset approach, which makes sense when you actually do community events. Everyone feels like it's easier to organize events if it's co-organized. Okay. A few of the communities I have in mind would be Data Engineering Cebu and Notion Cebu. What I love about these two, because these two have just launched right after I launched mine this year. Everyone else that I've helped out, like say Bisayan Creatives and then Web3 Cebu I've partnered with, they've already had their traction as well as momentum since the last year. So all these communities, even with the new ones. So these are the new ones we have, which is Notion and Data Engineering. Notion is low code and no code centric. Data engineering has a lot to do with applied AI learning and also Python programming or data infrastructure. Wait, data engineering for that. Sorry, but then yeah, with all these things in mind, you get to see how AI Generation Cebu is supporting them, that it does not discriminate. So we don't just keep the support to the people that we have a bias for, which is kind of like the opposite for AI right now, which still develops a bias. But then we also would love to foster or support people that are opposite to the persons that we support for, as long as they're working together really well. So data engineering is technical, coded. And then with Notion Cebu, that's where we foster skills on Notion proficiencies. So it's a very beginner friendly tool. Could have its own learning curve, but then it's still beginner friendly.
Oh, I forgot about Cebu Microsoft Tech Users Group. So I remember he's actually a friend of mine who asked me for help to organize it. He organized it first place because he's tired of having to go to Manila for Microsoft related events, and a lot of his work related to Microsoft technologies, especially as a data scientist. I mean, so he decided to create a Cebu Microsoft Tech Users Group, and they had like 2 events so far, like with 50 people who attended or more. So it's been successful so far. So I guess that rounds out the 23-24 tech communities. Hopefully I didn't forget anyone else. And yeah, that's the Cebu Tech communities for ya.
N-Space is a dynamic co-working and innovation hub based in Sendai, Japan, with a 7-story building. Its strategic location and comprehensive amenities make it ideal for local and international professionals seeking a productive and inspiring workspace. The facility is equipped with high-speed internet, meeting rooms, and modern amenities to support professionals and entrepreneurs. N-Space Cebu is more than just a workspace. It is a vibrant community hub that hosts events, workshops, and networking opportunities, empowering the local tech, creative, and business communities. Contact us for service inquiries.
So we have the last question for the president of Cebu Tech Community. This is about the future focus. What's your take on Cebu's role in the global tech industry? And how is the community contributing to it?
Okay. Oh my God, this is a bit of a presidential question, honestly. But before I answer this question, let me just talk about my background. I am a fake Cebuano. I actually was born, raised, and educated in Manila, like from Taguig. And I migrated here in Cebu 7 years ago, 2017, because of work. And it was really restarting my life all over again. Though I kind of took some cues from my previous life in Manila, where I was already active in the startup scene, in the student organization, student org community. I mean, we don't call it communities before that, so we just call it student orgs. And that's one of the things when I try to kind of rebuild my life in Cebu in search for basically friends. And that also how I stumbled upon Pizza Pie. So I actually, when I joined Pizza Pie, my first event around October 2018, I just got accepted from a Python developer job. That was my first development job. I was a systems analyst before. And I kind of just wanted to know more about how to be a Python developer. And so I joined Pizza Pie. And apparently the event was reviving Pizza Pie. And at work, okay, so I attended that event. I knew who the founders and the previous organizers were. And in work, apparently they kind of overhired, and I had like 1.5 months of nothing to do at work. So I was bored, so I created a plan on how to revive Pizza Pie. And around January, I created the first event along with Cleo. who was a previous interviewee here in Kaka Computer. And, that's how history happened. We're still co-lead organizers along with the previous co-lead organizer, which is Ron Michael Koo. So I had a different viewpoint of Cebu where I actually started out as a tourist. So I actually had a small stint, or I almost became a tour guide, like a literal tour guide, if I hadn't taken that Python development job. And I was also active on other things, like I was part also of a urban planning org, funny enough. So I'm just active all around. Plus, Make Sense, which is a social enterprise org to support social enterprises. So I had like a lot of background coming in here, but I kind of consider myself not fake anymore because I speak the language and I actually vote here. So I have a lot of sense of place now with Cebu. And kind of discovering the strengths of Cebu. Um, Cebu is small. And I'm not actually talking about the population. The population is actually, let's say, 3 million and then 6 million for the entire island. That's already a pretty big place in terms of people. That's like a mid-sized city, not a big city, but a mid-sized city, a proper city. And it's actually physically small. Like out of, let's say, just Cebu City, out of the 300 square kilometers area of Cebu City, only 8% is buildable. So that's the physical, geographical reason why Cebu as a society is small. Like everyone knows each other. So that's why one of Cebu's strengths is it's big, but it's interconnected with each other because of its physical like tightness. So that kind of forces people, well, not force, but they actually like to help each other. So they kind of one of the strengths of Cebu here is being collaborative, right? So they're very collaborative. They want to do stuff together, and they have a really strong sense of place. Like, they're one of the towns that I know that they're proud to be from Cebu City, where they have their own subculture and all. So they really have a strong sense of place. And not only that, this place is not only exclusive for Cebuanos only. Even people that are coming over as immigrants from the surrounding areas, from Samar Leyte, Iloilo Bacolod, well, the Manila now eventually because they're tired of Manila, Northern Mindanao, Zamboanga, and Davao. A lot of people are migrants here in Cebu. That a lot of like tech community leads, the OG tech community leads, end up working with each other here in Cebu when they actually came from Davao or CDO, those kind of stuff. So, and also this applies to foreigners. Like I see Cebu as a more cosmopolitan place, like more accepting of foreigners. So this actually reflects to our events, right? Like our events would usually have like 1, 2, 3 foreigners that come join us. So we're forced to speak English, sadly. So that kind of reflects. I mean, even we even had like community leads that are foreigner, like Jacob from Cebu City Cybersecurity Center and P5 Management Hub. So we have those kinds of people. So that kind of reflects the cosmopolitan vibe of Cebu, and but being cosmopolitan does not mean that they kind of erase the character. In fact, they kind of absorb the character of Cebu, of having always wanting their own thing. So that's actually one big reason why Cebu has a big potential to be a model on how to be a tech hub that is not a primary city like Manila And cities all over Southeast Asia and East Asia had this problem where everything is concentrated on their capital city. And there's not much tech communities or tech opportunities in their secondary cities. I've seen it in Indonesia. I've talked to foreigners that in Bali, they've only met like one or two developers in their 9 years of living there. It's that bad. But here in Cebu, they kind of see like this is a builders community. Like a lot of developers here. I mean, in terms of like density, they've met more developers here than their entire lives in Bali or something. So yeah, we're a good model. Another issue that we have is, I think, I'm not sure if it's unique to Cebu, but I guess it's common to a lot of places, is that also prove me if I'm wrong when I say this, but there's not much very competitive universities here. That's a hot take that I'm gonna give, and it's a hot take that it's the universities up to them to disprove me. I'd be willing to be disproved, but let's say unlike in Manila, there are universities there that are worth going to because they do cutting edge research. So a lot of kids here are not having exposure to the cutting edge tech. So who else is gonna expose them to cutting edge tech without, let's say, aside from companies, because you have to be employed to the company to be employed or to be exposed to the cutting edge tech. So that job falls onto the tech communities, sadly. So yeah, so the lack of competent educational institutions here kind of gives a big role for us tech communities here. And also, yeah, again, we can be a model of how collaborative we can be. Okay, so that's education. Next is with collaboration with other institutions. So I cannot help but to compare it to Manila, where the big institutions that you have to collaborate with, like let's say the chamber, the big software organizations like PSIA, IBPAP, those kind of stuff. You have to go through a lot of loops to just connect to them. And I remember I was actually part of the meeting of PH Tech communities back in January, just this year, that they don't even know who the startup community is in Manila, if you remember with Kuya Dev. And yeah, so, and with government agencies, there is like a long way to go for Manila-based communities to reach the the government agencies. And the bad thing is, the government agencies that are based in Manila, they are already focusing on national. So they couldn't even focus on Manila in the first place. So what we have in Cebu is, I've mentioned how small we are, so how collaborative we are. These people, like the government, the startup community, the other chamber, Pizza Pie, in fact, is actually member of the CIBO, which is Cebu IT-BPM organization, which is basically the equivalent of IBPAP in Cebu. So that's a very unique model for Cebu, and plus compared to the other cities, because we kind of know everyone else in the other tech community leads in other cities. They are also collaborative with each other, and they are also connected with each other, but they're not big enough. I mean, their economies, the number of companies, tech companies that establish here, are not as big as we have here in Cebu. So we're small enough, collaborative enough, but big enough to make an impact and get results that we can do it as a community. So aside from that, lastly, this also is contributing to our cosmopolitan nature. The tech workers here are actually used to working with foreigners. Like, yeah, straight to foreigners. Because A lot of companies here in Cebu are actually started by foreigners. So they are the ones who actually stay here and establish probably some BPOs or dev shops. But yeah, it's also something Cleo noticed that a lot of us here in Cebu, we're used to working with foreigner or yeah, direct to foreign companies. So we're more used to that work style. So therefore, we kind of adapt the the working styles of those foreigners. So yeah, that kind of gives a whole new facet of innovation in Cebu. So just to cut short on Cebu's role, so we are again the possible model on how tech communities can play a huge part in contributing a lot to the city's economy or the province economy. And yeah, we are in a unique position to do that here as Cebu, and that's why also CTC as an entity is also important to keep those advantages put to work. So yeah, that's all.
All right. So let's ask Dorel. So of course, when are you planning to launch Sebi?
Alright. So I'm gonna be Andre. Thank you for asking that. So I don't know if it's going to be a hot take or this is a general thing that this is how you do things so properly. Earlier in my presentation for PWA Pilipinas, where I'm demonstrating PWAs and the SEBI's case study. One of my strategies for doing SEBI, bringing into this world, and I'm very, very thankful for the inputs of the community, BJ, or ideas, Reino, and everyone who's talking about SEBI, is that I don't plan to do really a solid launch, but maybe in the future, yes. But I've been doing soft launches every now and then. So the strategy that I'm working right now is ship fast, fail fast. So whatever it is that, whatever idea, whatever it is that we want to experiment with SEBI, we put it out there. And if it works, it works. And if not, go back to the drawing board, reiterate, make another plan. So that's kind of like my plan. My plan for SEBI. And it boils down really to three things, I would say. SEBI should be, have all the data it needs from the platforms, because it's kind of like the value proposition there. The second thing is SEBI should be for you. It is not the other way around, that you will work for it, but SEBI will, recommend you with all of the events that matter to you. So that is really important for me, for SEBI. And the last thing is I want to give SEBI to anyone and provide a very top-notch experience when using it, so that those events that really matter to you will be at your hands. And yep. So it's gonna be serving people at least, and organizers, event goers, and hopefully everyone here in Cebu, or anyone who plans to go to Cebu to discover these events. Especially now we have a focus on tech, but pretty soon enough we will be most probably be expanding in other areas as well. So yep. So very thankful again for the community that we have here. without them, I wouldn't be probably be launching Sabi like this, right? And I don't have any, avenue to share ideas, to be able to validate it extremely fast. And yeah, and I'm very happy, very extremely happy with the progress of Sabi